And I've also worked at a few other studios in Atlanta before, so I have studio experience with different shows, like Unsupervised and a little bit of Adventure Time, stuff like that.
What was that thing you worked on?
HBO Latino. I keep in Spanish.
Is it called HBO Latino? Because when I'm going through my channels, and it seriously says it's listed as HBO Lay. And I would love if that was real.
It might be.
Oh, I know.
More adult version of El Perro
I'm Lee Crow, and I've worked on a whole bunch of stuff, including Space Jam, Little Mermaid.
And welcome to the game!
Little Mermaid. Rescuers Down Under. Brother Bear. Cats Don't Dance. Let's see, some of those I was an effects animator, some of them I was a character assistant. Timer on King of the Hill. Timer and storyboard artist on Family Guy. Cool World. I was in charge of the effects on Cool World. I'll think of some more as time goes by.
Write it down.
Oh, so, hello. Ready? All right, ready? Well, we work in animation. You're here to find out about it. I'll just preface it with the basics. Oh, sweet, someone dressed as Turbo. Run, Ralph. You aren't tastic at all. Anyway, crap. Oh yeah, working animation is a fairly laid-back field. You need a professional sort of attitude, but it's fairly like most of us come to work dressed like we woke up in front of an Xbox. I wear a tie because it's, I don't have many reasons to. There aren't that many weddings or funerals in my life, sadly, and thank goodness. I have more on that, but anyone else want to fill in with the field of animation? I could go into comedy routine stuff I have.
Well, if you'll allow me, I'll just kind of go through my life. I'm going to tell you my life story. I was actually born really close to here. I was born at the Emory Hospital right down the street, up the street, long time ago when there were no freeways. My parents had to take the highway up from College Park when my mother went into labor. And so I grew up here. I grew up on the south side, College Park in Peachtree City, and went to Woodward Academy. And LaGrange College, where I majored in art and minored in theater. And then when I was a senior in college, people started asking me, okay, so what are you going to do with your life? And this was a time still when most girls either got married or they didn't have jobs, or the job choices were pretty limited, like secretaries, flight attendants, teachers, that kind of thing. So I was kind of like, I don't know what I want to do, but I had one teacher that said, well, if you could do anything, what would you do? And I said, well, I'd like to work for Disney, but that's never going to happen. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm a girl from College Park, it's never going to happen.
You showed them all.
Yeah, I showed him. So, that teacher kind of held me to it. He started giving me brochures for animation schools. So I went to Sheridan, up in Canada, which has now surpassed Cal Arts as the #1 animation school because of alumni like me.
Yay!
So I went to Sheridan in Canada, and then I moved to Los Angeles, and I got a job within 2 weeks at a small studio that you've never heard of. But if anybody knows who Floyd Norman is, he worked there. So I got to meet him. Floyd Norman was the first African-American artist at Disney.
Ooh.
He started on Sleeping Beauty. And he's online as Mr. Fun. So if you look up Mr. Fun's blog, you can read all about Floyd's adventures in animation. He's very sweet, very friendly, very approachable. So that job only lasted a few months. The owner was actually using the animation studio as a front for a money laundering scheme.
Aww.
So our cartoon never aired or got released in theaters. They were just sitting there making cartoons. And yeah, the guy actually got arrested and served time and everything, so that's kind of bizarre. Let's see. So I struggled for a little while. I actually had not finished Sheridan at that point, so I went back to Sheridan to do student film, came back to LA, you know, had to work retail, had to work at the makeup counter and art galleries, and as a temp. There was one lady at one of these temp places, they sent me to an insurance place to work in the file room, and she was like really impressed that I knew my alphabet. So I was like, God, I was so like, oh my God, please let me get a job in animation before my brain explodes. So, so soon after that, I got hired at the brand new Film Roman. It was brand new. It was me and Phil Roman and some camera guy, and that was it. And everybody else was a freelancer. And I was a combination secretary, receptionist, assistant animator, coffee maker, copy maker, toilet paper purchaser, everything. But what was really cool was that Phil Roman had been in the business for a while. And he knew all these old guys, like from the 30s. So all these old guys that had worked on Warner Brothers cartoons were coming in and picking up freelance from us. So I got to meet all these old guys. It was really cool. So that led to a job at Filmation. Have y'all ever heard of Filmation? He-Man and Masters of the Universe? Oh, yeah. And I didn't work on He-Man. I worked on very, very bad feature films. Let's see. Happily Ever After, which was also known as Snow White and the Seven Dwarf Elves. Very, very bad cinema. And one called Pinocchio and the Emperor of the Night, which is also really bad. So if you want to study bad movies, check those two out. You can probably get them for $1 at the dollar store. But Filmation was great because, once again, I made really great connections. I made a lot of really good friends and work connections, people that I still know, I still talk to, still get work through. So let's see, any questions at this point? So that's the first 8 years of mission. It got tough for a little while there, and then I finally got hired at this place called Bob Rogers and Company, and they're still in existence. They don't do a lot of 2D animation anymore, but Bob Rogers, they're also known as BRC, they do stuff for amusement parks. So they've done things for Disney World, they've done things for Universal, they've done things for like temporary expos, and I got hired there, and that was a really great place to work. And we were subcontracting something for Disney. So if y'all ever went to Disney World in the 90s and saw that thing where, you know, went to the animation studio where you took the tour and you saw the film that explained how animation was done, BRC did that, and I worked on that. And I was geeking out the whole time because I was getting to draw Captain Hook, my favorite character. So that thing was called Back to Neverland, and I think you all can probably find it on YouTube. And so BRC does this thing for Disney World, and Disney loved it. Disney was like, God, you kids can draw our characters. So they basically hired everybody that worked on Back to Neverland, they hired them on Little Mermaid. So I had applied at Disney, I think 5 times prior to that point. So I graduated college, you know, where the teacher was asking me, what do you want to do with your life? I graduated in 81 and got the job at Disney in 88. So it only took me 7 years and 5 portfolio submissions.
Teaching classes on animation in like college settings, and I've been trying to figure out whether I want to do both film production and film academia, but I can't decide which one I should pursue first. And I've been having a lot of anxiety about it. What would you recommend, since you've done both work in making the film and then teaching?
So you're interested in film production, and what was the other thing?
Film academia, as in teaching.
Oh. Both. I think you're going to be a better teacher if you're in the industry for a while before you start teaching.
Someone's taking classes from her.
And I hope I don't get in trouble with anybody, but yeah, my coworkers. Love them dearly, talented, smart people, but a lot of them have not actually worked in the industry. So I get a little frustrated with what they teach my students.
I have heard
because they haven't been in the industry, you know.
And I haven't actually heard anything from your students. I don't think I've met any of them. But I have some friends who just got master's degrees and they got right into teaching, and their students are not that happy with the classes that they paid all that money.
Yeah, you know, that job that I was talking about before, where I only worked there 3 months, and it was a front for money laundering scheme. It was still a serious production. We had veterans and people that really knew what they were doing. And then when I went back to school and did my student film, I went through my student film like that because of the production values that I learned, and because of the, I don't know, just the work ethic that I had picked up from actually being in a studio. I was flying by everybody. The only other person that finished their film was John Minnis, who did a little short film called Charade. Look it up. It won the Oscar. And he was the only other person, you know, and he's like 10 years older than me. So he was the only other person that finished his student film, you know, which we had to do in 3 months at that school. So anyway, and it was because I had worked in that studio. So yeah, get out there and get into the studio first, and it'll make you a better teacher. But both of them have their rewards. Teaching is a little bit more interesting, it's less tedious, you know, because I'm in front of people and I'm talking and I'm narcissistic and I'm talking about my life. You know, where when you work in animation, you're sitting there with your headphones on, chained to the desk for hours and hours and hours and hours drawing, which is also great, you know. But so it appeals to both sides of my split personality.
Also, before you consider jumping into a master's degree after you finish your bachelor's and wondering if you want to get out into the field, I look at just how giant the pile of money you're sitting on is.
Yeah, they don't want you to have a master's. The industry generally does not need for you to have a master's.
It doesn't. So
the master's is just for teaching.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And I don't want to say you can get around getting a degree in animation just because a lot of people. The short answer is you're not going to sit down and devote a lot of time to animation if you're not doing it in college. I mean, you can experiment, you can try to do well, you can talk to a lot of people, but I know I'll meet somebody who's done that someday, and I just haven't.
And a paycheck, I always say a paycheck is a better motivator than an F.
Yeah. It's always
I mean, I can threaten my students with, oh, I'm going to fail you, get in here, get your stuff in on time, blah, 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 I'm going to fail you. And they're like, whatever, I'd rather go party at the con, and get my project done. You know, but people who are actually getting paid and building a reputation aren't going to do that kind of stuff. You won't last in the industry if you don't turn your stuff in on time.
I don't know what the nightlife is like in Savannah anymore.
Probably just as wild as it always was.
Oh, right. Crazy place.
Thank you, that really helps me.
Thank you.